Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Morning Brew. Today, we're sitting down with someone whose name is synonymous with vision and growth here in Laredo. We're sitting down with Cliffe Killam. He's the CEO of Killam Development. And most of us know Cliffe as a developer. He has been transforming our city for decades, as well as his family. But what many don't realize is that Cliffe has another passion. He has a passion for art. And from his remarkable collection of original Don Quixote illustrations to his commitment to sharing that art with students, Cliffe believes creativity is more than just beautiful, it's powerful. And for him, art can open minds, it can teach new perspectives, and most importantly, it brings a community together. So today we are taking a deep dive into a different side of Cliffe and learning more about his inner love for the arts. So grab your coffee and join me as we welcome the incomparable Cliffe Killam to Morning Brew. Good morning, Cliffe.
Hi, good morning, Mindy. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We've been planning this for quite some time. Yeah. You are one busy person, but busy doing such remarkable things. And I want to start for the morning show viewers who, of course, your name and your family's name is synonymous with Laredo, Texas, here in South Texas especially. But for those viewers who are watching who don't know you, let's talk a little bit about who you are and your family and how you've reached where you are today.
Sure, no, I appreciate that. You're born in Laredo, grew up here, and I think my appreciation for literature and art and theater and film kind of began pretty early on. I mean, I always had great, elementary school teachers in reading, and a lot of family members have actually artistic backgrounds, and so just all of that kind of introduced me to some of those things at an early age and kind of inspired me. And ultimately, when I went to college, I studied literature, and then kind of had this unexpected path into the business world.
So let's talk about your unexpected path. You grew up in a family that big developers, not only here in Laredo, but in South Texas as well. You've developed the university that we have here in Laredo. Texas A&M International University came from a large land donation, but you've developed subdivisions and so much more in the Laredo community. So was your path always planned for you that you were gonna end up as a developer? Was that just the path that you knew was for you?
Yeah, it never even really occurred to me. My parents always kind of encouraged me to do what I enjoyed, and I was really into literature, and so that's kind of the path that I took. And then, we're also involved in the energy business. And when I graduated from college, I had been reading a lot, as 500, 1,000 pages a week, and I didn't want to touch a book at all. And so I remember talking to my father, and I was kind of thinking about different jobs, and he said, well, why don't you clear your head, come back home, and take a job working in the oil field. And so I took a job. I lived in Freer, Texas, and I worked on a pulling machine, was a welder's assistant, worked on a vacuum truck, so just kind of did various things that were needed in those field operations. And then kind of inadvertently found my way into the energy business, went to graduate school, was the only liberal arts person in the program that I did, and got a job in Houston and did that, and eventually came back home. And then kind of, I would say, in the past 7 years or so, kind of rediscovered my love for the arts and had just gotten more involved in that, and through some of our development projects have helped to bring more attention to that, and also through some of my personal collecting.
When you talk about development, we've heard you speak at several functions, and you talk about your vision for developing not only Laredo but South Texas, and you've been very successful. Recently, though, you've found a platform to talk about a bigger vision. You've done, and your family has done, of course, around the university area. You've done subdivisions, developments, retail developments, but now you've got a larger vision for downtown Laredo, and that vision seems to have come from your love for the arts. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yes, we're excited. We've picked up a few different properties downtown, and I think the downtown area, it's representative of the history and culture of our city, and a city from 1755. And with that, as we were thinking about the opportunities for downtown, I think a natural fit was around the arts, and that matches up not just, with my passion for art and literature and theater and film, and also that there's already some existing institutions there that were, thriving, and to be able to work with them. So there's the Laredo Center for the Arts, which does amazing work and has a great board that is bringing different artists, as well as the Daphne Art Foundation, and so we feel like there's a great opportunity to create more art, more public art, murals, and other things that bring young people to get exposure to art, and I think it can play a powerful role in their own creativity and their own interests, and potentially become artists themselves.
You've talked a little bit about how you've seen other places, other cities, and how they have transformed certain areas, and how your vision and the love for art you want to bring back. So what is your vision? How do you see Laredo evolving?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in terms of the downtown itself, I think we see it as a place that can be, that helps to, a gathering place for art, and also for the culinary arts as well. And then having a business district there that's operating within that. And so I think that brings elements of, the hospitality, food brings people together, and then I think art also brings people together. So we're excited to be able to work on creating kind of a culinary and arts district, and then that on the having a business district there too. I think when people are working there and they have professional spaces to be there, they're going to help become the ambassadors for downtown and share of their experiences as they're seeing those different art exhibits and public art that's out there, as well as the different restaurants and bars and different entertainment venues that are down there.
Right. Now, this obviously isn't going to be a short-term plan. This is a long-term vision. But you talked a little bit at the recent event where we caught your latest presentation there with the Chamber of Commerce. You talked about how this is just not a Cliffe Killam, one-man ordeal. This has to take a partnership for everybody to buy into it. And you talk at length about it, and everyone seemed really enthusiastic to follow your lead on that. What do you say to the businesses who might be kind of skeptical about going down this road with you?
Sure. Yeah. I think, Mindy, as you said, it's really going to take the whole community saying we want to see this happen, and so we've begun to do different stakeholder engagements, talk to our city leaders, our county leaders, the Laredo College as well as the businesses there, and artists and different people in the community, chefs, and I see a lot of excitement. I think that, there's always going to be some folks that are going to be sort of the early adopters. They're going to, be, this is amazing, let's do this, let's be a part of this. And, we welcome them. We can't wait to work with them, collaborate, and be a resource for them. And then, the other ones that may have some hesitancy, I think with time, as we work at it, I think they'll begin to see the fruits of our labor, and they may want to choose to go down there and participate. But it will take time. It's a long-term project, a long-term commitment. But I think it's something that's personally important to me, and I think it's important for the community. And we've had just incredible conversations with different folks throughout the community that are excited about it, and I think it's just something you gotta work on, just kind of block by block, and eventually it'll have a great impact.
Right. And Cliff, let me ask you, why downtowns? What is it about downtowns, whether it's in Laredo or any downtown? What is it about downtowns that bring communities together? Why invest in a downtown?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that downtowns typically are older. so they're representative of a community's history typically. They're also very walkable. And so it's not as much of a suburban sprawl and what have you. And so it makes it easy. So there's more density there. And I think they can be places of gathering and community. So I think there's typically also in downtowns the areas for municipal government and other important governmental functions down there. So all those different things bring people together, and typically in most downtowns, it's a natural to have where your museums are, your art, and having this kind of vibrant community there that is going to be different than maybe more traditional suburban environment.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of takes you back in time too, and it gives you a whole nostalgia from when we were all growing up, and maybe things were a little simpler back then. And who doesn't want to go back and just kind of relive that, but with a modern twist and a modern flavor to that. But we're going to take a quick break. This is the perfect time for us to just acknowledge our sponsors for Morning Brew. So stay with us. We'll be coming right back with Cliff in just 2 minutes.
Why pay a monthly fee? Free checking at IBC.
Organic Man Coffee Track, Laredo's first and only coffee air roastery. For over 10 years, we've crafted bold, smooth flavors from around the world, committed to your health by exclusively using organic ingredients. Organic Man Coffee Track. Travel the world, one coffee at a time.
Welcome back to Morning Brew. We're here with Cliffe Killam, and before the break, we were touching on his surprising passion for art and getting into his background as a developer and working in the energy field. But now we're going to dig a little deeper into that part of the story. So we are continuing, Cliffe, and I really want to talk a lot about your passion for art and where it's led to you, or led you with the Don Quixote illustrations, because these are the originals, and they've just been fascinating to see. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah. I've always loved literature, and so with that, I've collected books over time, and more recently, I've was able to acquire some Don Quixote books, and some of them are illustrated, which led to talking with the Center for the Arts about doing an exhibit. So it's been really a great event. This is the second year we've done it, and the book is from 1738. We brought in a photographer to professionally photograph all the images in the book, and we've cataloged all of those. And then we reproduced them and had them in the exhibit there. And then we've also worked in conjunction with a professor and artist at Texas A&M International University to help with the printmaking process, and Jesse Shaw. And then with that, we've invited students from LISD, UISD, and St. Augustine and United Day School, and we welcome other schools to participate. And they go through and be able to see all the art that's there and the printmaking process, and learn about Cervantes and Don Quixote, and which is really an incredible the first modern novel, and really a great piece of work of art of writing. And we're going to have over 1,000 students go through there, so which is really amazing.
What was it about Don Quixote that just drew you into wanting to do more with it? What is it about that novel?
It's described as the first modern novel, and it was written later in Cervantes' life, and he had a very challenging, difficult life with a lot of different setbacks. And when he wrote this, he never expected it to be successful. And it was really one of the first kind of global phenomenons in terms of the publishing industry. And it was translated into many different languages. And I think what's amazing about the book is that, the different seasons in one's life, you can read it and then read it again, and you'll get something different out of it. So it can be funny, it can be incredibly sad, it can be insightful, it can be a satire, and so it can operates on all these different levels depending on kind of how you're feeling and your state of mind. And so it's really just an amazing book that also has inspired many different artists, many different writers. There's been, Picasso's illustrated, Dali, many other artists have. So it's a book that continues to provide many different forms of inspiration for other artists and writers.
Right. Is there one thing about this collection, one piece that just really stands out to you, that just means a lot to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's I think one of the title cards that they have and that's they're using for the exhibit, I think is great, where it shows Don Quixote kind of sitting at a desk in this kind of contemplative state. So I thought it was always a great piece, kind of emblematic of kind of his quest to dream.
And the idea about the dream, I think that inspires a lot of people, and that, I think about the book and what that message is, that you could dream, and, there's nothing wrong with that. And maybe that's the message that resonates with a lot of people. Is that the message that I know that you're working very closely with the students in the school. Is that the message you want them to take away from Don Quixote?
Yeah, I mean, yes, definitely. I mean, I hope that it creates a great experience for them and sparks their own creativity and interest, and whether it be through art or for, any other thing. I mean, you can pursue engineering or business or, many different career paths, and, creativity is a key element of that. And so I hope that it inspires them to be creative and to pursue their own dreams.
Is there another collection or another novel that you're interested in, or someplace another direction that you're planning on heading with your appreciation for the arts?
That's a great question. We've talked about it. I have collected a few other books, and there's some other ideas. And we actually did a panel at the Center for the Arts with Maite Gomez-Rejon and Bobby Gonzalez, which was a lot of fun. And we talked a little bit about food and food history and art and the book. And after it was done, we said, well, this was a lot of fun. Maybe we should get this show on the road and maybe do something else. So we're kicking around ideas, and I know that the center may want to have some other thoughts on what could be done. So I can't put my finger on it just yet, but I think we definitely want to do something again.
How has your love and passion for the arts, how have you been able to intertwine that within your business career, your developing, your energy, the things that the Killam Corporation are involved in? Do you see the two crossing over?
Sure. I mean, I think, I would just say kind of more generally just creativity. I mean, I think that it can manifest itself in different ways, and it's looking at the world in different ways and looking at problems. And so I think that's something that I try to bring to our conversations, and so I sort of think of myself more as a creative person, just happens to be in business. And so I think I try to cultivate an organizational culture too around creativity and different, looking at things from a different perspective. And I think it's in the types of projects that we've done. We've done the Coves of Winfield. I mean, it's not just a kind of cookie cutter, sort of layout. The coving design is a much different approach. So I think in a lot of the different types of real estate development we've done, it's to kind of embrace sort of the different kind of creative flares, to take risks and to do things. And generally, I think we've had a good response from some of those choices that we've made, instead of doing something that's maybe a little more safe.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what a lot of people are looking for. Everyone wants to have that tranquility and that zen when they go home, because you're in the business world, you're working all day, you're in the rat race, if I can use that term, and then you go home and you just want to see beauty. And so I think you've been able to capture that, and it's probably because of your background and your love for the arts, being able to intertwine with the two. I think it definitely has shown.
No, I appreciate you saying that, and yeah, I think it's a passion. It's part of who I am, and how and I enjoy seeing that passion in other people and their artistic interests, and I think it's a great way to build community and bring people together.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to take another quick break. Cliff, just ahead, Cliff isn't just collecting art for himself. He's been opening up about his love for sharing the arts with students in our community. So after the break, we're going to hear how he's bringing art into the classrooms and why he believes it can transform young minds and even the city of Laredo. So we're back in 2 minutes with the amazing Cliffe Killam. Stay with us.
Organic Man Coffee Track, Laredo's first and only coffee air roastery. For over 10 years, we've crafted bold, smooth flavors from around the world, committed to your health by exclusively using organic ingredients. Organic Man Coffee Track. Travel the world, one coffee at a time.
Welcome back, everybody. We certainly appreciate you sticking around with us as we're sitting down with local developer Cliffe Killam. We're taking a deep dive into his passion for the art, not only for himself, but also inspiring others to appreciate the value of art, especially when it comes to students. Cliffe, thank you so much for sticking around with us. And, we've had a great conversation about how art has changed your life and your vision for art and developing Laredo and South Texas. But let's talk a little bit about the students. You mentioned how the school districts and some of the private schools in Laredo are taking kids now to the Center for the Arts to see your amazing collection. Why is this important to get them exposed to this in such an early age?
Yeah, I think it helps them to see what's out there in the world, to see the different type of art that's there, that it's a great piece of literature, and it's also very interactive as well. It's part of it is looking at the different images there, but it's also getting to participate in the printmaking process and to share their own thoughts, as well as to look at some of the local artists that have done paintings and sculptures inspired by Don Quixote.
It's a very engaging exhibit. You were talking a little bit about how kids can actually get into it when they're there. How do you see them interacting with art, especially those that are visiting an art gallery for the very first time?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. I think that's one of the biggest things, is that it's not a serious thing; it's a fun thing, and I think they've had a very positive experience, and they're surprised that it's here in Laredo, and I think also, what I've gathered from some of the teachers and administrators is that they get a sense of someone cares and they're being able to see something different. And I think it's been a very positive experience.
We were talking about getting kids away from this age of technology that we live in. I'm the mom of 2 boys who, love their electronics. You've got 3 kids at home. Do you see art as a way to just, have them step away from the electronics for a little bit?
Yes, no, definitely, Mindy. I mean, I think that art can be a form of digital detox, and you can experience that and just kind of put the electronics away and just, either whether you're by yourself or with a group of friends, to be there, experience that, and kind of it's a way to kind of get away from all of that and slow things down a little bit.
And that's so important right now. And also the fact that art can be a serious thing, and there's a lot of serious art, but inspiring kids to appreciate and maybe have a passion for art in a more, and showing them that it's not as serious. Like you said, it could be fun. That's important for them to understand too, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, definitely. I think I think the exhibit is designed in a way to engage their artistic sensibilities and their creativity, and to that everyone has that ability. It's just a matter of, they have an interest in it, is there a passion for that, and then cultivating that creativity.
You know, as a parent, Cliff, what do you say to other parents who would love to go down the path that you have with your kids and exposing them to art? You know, how do you start? What do you do first when you want to get the kids away from the electronics and get them exposed to the arts?
Yeah, I think it's, just bringing them to different experiences. And I think there's actually a lot of opportunities to do things in Laredo. We have a great theater program with local actors. And we have different art exhibits throughout the year at the Laredo Center for the Arts and the Daphne Art Foundation. I think it's a great family experience, and in many cases these things are either free or a fairly low cost, certainly less expensive than going out of town somewhere. And also the Laredo College also has some great, I think even this evening they're having a dinner and promoting some of the artists from Laredo College. TAMU has a great program too, and they often have different exhibits and showcasing different artists. So I think there's a lot of opportunities to get that exposure.
I think that as a parent, you just have to maybe designate, okay, one day a week or one day every 2 weeks, we are going to hit up the local venue that's doing this or doing that, because you just need to be mindful of that and intentional rather to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just kind of setting some time aside and, making an afternoon of it and have a great time. And I think there's a lot of great experiences that are out there. And Laredo actually has a fairly, very active art community and theater community, and there's some really great productions being done, and also the Film Society here too. And so there's a lot of good things happening, and so we want to sort of serve as a catalyst to help bring everybody together.
Okay, and on that note, film, you said the word film. I know you've got some stuff coming up. What could you tell us about that?
Well, that might be for part 2, Mindy, I think, but I'm producing a couple feature films, and I'm excited about it. More to come soon, but
that's the biggest tease.
Yes. But we're, it's exciting, and I think one of the stories takes place in South Texas, and hopefully we'll be filming down here.
Oh, now that would be neat. So we were going to do a casting call for all kinds of extras. Sign us up for that, definitely. Cliff, what are your parting words for other individuals like yourself who have an inner passion for something, but know that, that might not put food on the table, but they still want to do it while they're working in a regular job?
Yeah, I think it's important to, people are complicated, and there's many different elements, and so it's important to cultivate, those interests, even if it's not part of your day job or the normal things that you're doing. And on the weekends or mornings or afternoons or what have you, and evenings, there's a lot of different artists, writers, and so forth that later became professionals, but pursued it when they had any spare time that they had. But even if someone is just doing it, I think it's also deeply satisfying to be able to create something. Yeah. And my grandmother was a painter, and she often painted on the weekends, and so I think it's an important, if it's something you're interested in, make time for it and do it. And I think it's an important part of who someone is.
Yeah, absolutely. Great parting words there. Don't be afraid to take a deep dive into your inner passion and just find balance. Balance equals happiness.
For sure.
Definitely. Thank you, Cliff, so much. We appreciate you joining us on Morning Brew, giving us a little insight into your world, both the business side and the art side. And hopefully we've inspired some people out there to find their passion and live it out, because that brings happiness.
Yeah, absolutely, Mindy. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
For sure. And don't forget, Cliff 2.0 for the film part.
Yes, sounds great. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Cliff. Well, what a conversation we've had with Cliffe Killam, developer, visionary, and now art ambassador for our community, from Don Quixote illustrations to inspiring the next generation. Cliffe is definitely showing us that art isn't just about what you see on the walls, but it's about how it opens minds, it sparks imagination, and can even transform a city. His vision for downtown Laredo proves that when you combine growth with creativity, the possibilities are endless. So thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Morning Brew. I'm Mindy Casa. We'll see you next week with another cup of conversation to start your morning bright and early. Until then, enjoy the brew.